Okay, hello there. This is the third and final tutorial for sort of the basic tricks section of the course. My belief is that the three tutorials that you will complete, or the first three tutorials that you'll complete, should give you an insight into feeling a little bit more comfortable about going through each of the module units to create a industry standard logo. The last basic tricks tutorial is actually to develop the Apple logo and create it a similar version using some of the tools in Inkscape and turning it into a kind of sort of gel-like graphic that you might find on an Apple website. So what you'll need to do is to go to Google and save a logo into your download section and import it into Inkscape like you would have seen in the first two tutorials. And what we are now going to do is master the Bezier tool here, the Bezier curves and straight lines tool. Now what I'm going to do is, as we've zoomed into the page like so using this icon up here, but to the far left, if I click off and select this Apple image and go to the one to the far left, zoom to fit selection in window, or number 3 on your keypad, it zooms right into the element that I'm going to work on. Now clicking on the Bezier curves tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to dot to dot and get a very basic and rough shape of this apple. I'm going to move quite quickly, and you can take as long as you want doing this to get a very basic shape of the apple. I'm also going to do the leaf at the top. Now just make sure that the path is closed by ensuring that you highlight the square that you started with, and that will then create a closed path. I'm now going to do very much the same to the leaf. So if I was to colour these in this moment in time, and it may help you to get your shaping if you colour them in white for now, that doesn't look very much like the Apple logo. So what we're going to do is just develop this the path of this shape a little better by going to the edit pass by nodes like we've done in the past. And what I'm going to do is anywhere you see fit, add an extra node and drag it up to the edge. What I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to pull the white shape closer to the edge, and what you might now start to see is a pattern emerging as to how we create this Apple logo. Now in the last tutorial I showed you how to curve some of these nodes by using the symmetry tool in the top toolbar, and that's what we are going to use when I finally added all the nodes to my apple. Some might automatically go to symmetry. Don't be perturbed by that. That's actually, if anything, a bit of a time saver. And I'm going to do the same to the leaf here. So just moving the edge of the leaf to the edge of the black, so I can't see any more black. Really, I think I can see a little bit there, so I'm just going to add another node in there just to be a little bit more detailed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the nodes around this apple and curve them all at the same time. And very much like when we select shapes, and on more than one shape, I'm going to hold down shift, and what I'm going to do is select every node around the edge. Now you'll know they're selected because they will have turned blue. So you can see it can be a little bit time consuming, but it's worth it getting every node selected. There we go, they're all blue now. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go to this tool here and make selected nodes symmetrical. What that should do is give me a slightly more curved version of it. Now if I go back to my zoom to fit selection, I can still edit that even further. So if I select on a node here, now these little sort of bars that come out, if I bring that in rather than out, that will sharpen the shape and make everything a little bit more realistic. Again, I might want to just tweak that a little bit in so that it sharpens the line. And anywhere I can kind of see black, I want to pull that down. That's a little bit bumpy, so I'm just going to bring the bar in, and that will sharpen everything. And again, I'll do the same with that one and bring that up. Now, if there's any more bumpy lines, just make sure that they're tidied up, and just like I've done there. And then what you'll then need to do is do exactly the same for the leaf. So I'm just going to go around, select every node like I did before with the apple itself, and then I'm just going to make it symmetrical. Again, that looks more like a blob than a leaf, so if I sharpen that up by pulling the bars in, pull that round, and I'm just going to pull that out so that no black can be seen. It's still a little bit bumpy, so you can go to select at the top and then just click off to see what it actually looks like. And actually that looks a little bit messy, so I'm just going to pull that back round, bring the bars in a little bit to sharpen that up. See how that looks now. It's looking a little cleaner. Select off. Now I've got a slightly more leafy shape. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to hit the minus key to the right of the 0 to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to make the shapes black. Select the leaf, click black. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick them together like we've done in the other tutorial. Just going to move this apple because I don't need it anymore out the way. Select both shapes by clicking and dragging over them, or we've done in the past, hold down shift, select both elements, and go to path and union, and that now sticks it together. It's a little bit of a rough apple, but moving quite quickly. And now what I'm now going to do is I'm going to create that disc and cut the apple out of it. Now what I'm going to now do is create a circle. I'm not too bothered if it's exactly equal, or I don't know, maybe we should just stick to our standards and go to 280 by 280 so that it's a perfect circle, and hit padlock. Now what I'd like you to do is change the colour of that circle, because we know that the apple is black, and just on your keypad somewhere I would like you to hit page down. What I will then do is move the circle below the apple. Select the apple and move it roughly middle to the circle. Hold down shift, select the grey circle, go to path and difference. And we're also going to have a play with this gradient tool, which is this tool down here, create and edit gradients. So select that and hold down my left button whilst the shape is selected. I'm going to click down my left button and drag downwards. What that should do is add a gradient through it. Now if I select the circle to make it go blue and say choose a light grey, and then drag the square, making sure the square's blue this time by clicking on it, and select a slightly darker grey, that will now add, I can move the gradient up and down to add the gradient at any point I want. And I'm just going to bring that square a little bit closer to the edge, and then I've got my gradient through it. Now to get the gel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and duplicate, and then I'm going to hold down Control and I'm going to press 9 on the keyboard, and that's going to inset the shape twice. So I've clicked it Control and 9 twice, and then what I'm then going to do is turn it to white. In fact, that's a lie. I'm going to turn it to black. I'm going to pull the shape off. Don't be too concerned if the apple's a little bit rough, that's not important. Then I'm going to get an ellipse and drag it over the top. Holding down shift and selecting that apple, I'm going to go to path and intersection, and that will leave me with an insetted shape that I can now hover over the top of my original apple, make it go white, go to my gradient tool and just drag it down. And what that will then allow me to do by just tweaking it a little bit is give me that kind of gel effect. What I'm now going to do, just to finish this all off, is I'm going to hit Shift and select the second shape, and I'm now going to go to Filters at the top, Shadows and Glow, and Drop Shadow. Click Apply. My blur radius is 1, my horizontal offset is 2, and vertical offset 2. And I'm going to hit Apply. What that will then do is give me my Apple Gel icon. I can go to Object and Group, and what that will then do is just stick everything together. And that is how you create a gel-like apple. Now what I'd like to do is see some of these examples before we actually start moving into the research stage of the project, to see that you've actually got the handle on some of these basic tools. So when we come to our first support session, I'd like you to be able to show me some of these things when we get talking.